We start with today's session one, which is by Dr. Jayanti Shastri. It is an absolute pleasure and honor for me to introduce Dr. Jayanti Shastri, who is the chair of the Department of Microbiology at the Topiwala National Medical College and BYL Nair Hospital, Mumbai. And she's a lab director, molecular laboratory of Kasturba Hospital, Viral Research and Diagnostic Laboratory. And she's an ASM ambassador of the Western India. She's planned and commissioned a state-of-art molecular diagnostic facility at the Kasturba Infectious Disease Hospital in Mumbai, which is the molecular public health lab, receiving samples from 4 tertiary care and 16 secondary care MCGM hospitals for leptospira, dengue, chikungunya PCR, hepatitis B and C detection and quantitation. And the lab almost conducts about 15,000 PCR tests per year. This was in the past, and I'm sure after the COVID, there have been lots and lots of tests. And just going to look at her COVID laboratory status. This is the first ICMR designated COVID testing laboratory in Mumbai for conducting RT-PCR tests since February 2020. That's the earliest that the India had seen for testing for COVID. And lab is an ICMR designated validation center for antigen test kits and quality assurance lab for private labs conducting COVID testing in Mumbai. The lab is also recognized by the NACO as regional HIV referral laboratory for conducting HIV viral loads by real-time PCR and early infant diagnosis by DNA PCR. She's received training in PCR at the Research Institute for Microbial Diseases at Osaka University at Japan. She's received the Fogarty funded visiting scientist fellowship at Albert Einstein College of Medicine, which is at New York in the year 2009, under the program which is called as AITRP, which is AIDS International Training Program. She's also received the teaching professorship award from American Society of Microbiology in October 2015, and she teaches infectious diseases at Tampa University of Southern Florida. She's a principal investigator of the Viral Research and Diagnostic Laboratory ICMR funded lab, conducted 4 surveys in Mumbai to estimate the prevalence of SARS-CoV-2 infections. Her interests are advocacy in behavioral change for implementation of best practices in infection control and molecular diagnosis of infectious diseases, with special references to validating newer diagnostic techniques for malaria, dengue, HIV, and biomarkers for diseases progression. She has more than 125 publications in international and national peer-reviewed journals. It's an absolute pleasure to welcome Dr. Jayanti Shastri for this particular event today, and we're very happy to hear from her inputs on this COVID testing and laboratory journey and the guidelines for COVID lab, the preparedness, NABL, and ICMR perspective. To start with, I would like to ask Jayanti ma'am, as an interactive session that we would want to have, her journey since the beginning of the pandemic. Over to you, ma'am.
So good evening. Thank you very much, Dr. Jayalakshmi, for such an extensive introduction. It's been very kind of you. I would like to just thank the organizers first for inviting me for this forum, because I feel through this panel discussion, in addition to sharing my experience, I would also like to, request everybody to get their labs accredited, because that is something which quality is of utmost importance when we report in from the lab. That's one thing. And of course, for infection control, again, I personally feel and believe that there has to be quality indicators in place, especially in public hospitals. Now, as COVID is concerned, I'm not making a presentation. I never thought it was important, because I thought sharing our experience was very important for others to learn. So we are an established molecular diagnostic reference lab from 2007. And so we were involved in RT-PCR. So when the pandemic of H1N1 struck us, it was like, just adding a negative pressure room to the existing lab for respiratory samples. And when we were asked by ICMR as one of the 13 labs in the country to commence testing for COVID-19, the most important thing is we already had trained people. So we did not face a problem in training people because we already had trained hands. And and we also, our lab is a regional HIV reference lab, so which is NABL accredited. It was in 2020. But we got our complete lab accredited by NABL for all the molecular tests this year, including COVID-19. So as far as the journey is concerned, yeah, we were overwhelmed with samples on 3rd February 2020 after being certified by ICMR. All the public as well as the private labs were sending samples for RT-PCR. And there was a dire need for ramping up services and increasing capacity of the number of labs doing RT-PCR. Now, the other thing is that when it comes to a respiratory sample, it is extremely important that we have an aliquoting room which is a negative pressure room where we inactivate the virus and then further take it for extraction. So this was something which was lacking in many labs, and they really needed to upgrade the services. So yeah, initially it was very overwhelming. However, by the end of March, we got the first case which was detected from our lab on 11th March 2020. We were at that time also the only lab in Mumbai, and the labs were added from April onwards. Then there were private labs which were added. But the condition which ICMR very stringently placed was all private labs should be NABL accredited. So having said that, from June 2020, ICMR had a very good quality system in place. I have only words of appreciation for ICMR because they very closely monitored testing in the country. So they linked, so we were the mentor institute for number of labs. We conducted a lot of trainings even while the pandemic was on, and when we were all working 3 shifts, the lab was working 24/7. We recruited new staff. However, from June 2020, we were given the mandate by ICMR to do interlab comparisons for private labs in Mumbai and 2 public labs. So we took on that mandate also. And since we had trained people, it was not very difficult. But however, I would overemphasize the role of quality in testing, because unless you go through the grind, you wouldn't know the nuances and the problems. The other thing which I would like to say is the pre-analytical part is the one which is very, very challenging. When you have a pandemic, how do you refuse samples just on the basis that it has not been, it's not come in a screw cap container. I mean, the cap is loose, the form is not filled properly, the specimen referral forms. So these are certain challenges initially we had, but we still, we were in constant communication with the labs who were sending samples for testing, because we are linked with almost, today also we are linked with about 6 labs, 6 hospitals, sorry, and they are the ones who are sending us samples. So yeah, of course, I would say that the journey was very satisfying. It is a great learning experience. It was a test for us how much we could take on. And I'm very happy to share that from September 2021, all the molecular tests in our lab are NABL accredited.
Thank you. So, ma'am, like we share or we see in any kind of lab, Like here, I believe in the philosophical lines of Albert Einstein, life is like riding bicycle. To keep your balance, we must keep it moving. So like if we see this, the two wheels in our lab life, one is a wheel of quality and another is wheel of cost, and others are like regulatory requirements and all. So how did you take care other balanced quality, cost and regulatory requirements in your lab during this pandemic? For example, like RT-PCR testing or any other testing done in your lab. How did you manage the quality of giving correct test results and complying to the present regulations and cost effectiveness? Because we know the supply chain and everything was very important during this pandemic. So we want to share your perspective and insights on this.
The most important thing which I would like to share is that in the month of March 20, so we had an easy MAG extraction system. So all those who are doing PCRs know that this extraction system is fully automated and it is very user friendly. And the first jolt we got in March 2020 when the supplies stopped from France. So from bioMérieux company was supplying us the kits, and one fine day they said, all the supplies have been diverted to Italy and you will not get any extraction kits. This was like a jolt from the blue, and that was the time my lab was the only lab in Mumbai doing PCR tests for the entire city with private public hospitals sending us samples. And I feel there was a divine intervention because there was this company called My Lab. They came forward and they gave us the ABI's Thermos Kingfisher Flex. This was the equipment they brought from a research institute, HLL. They had given it for research purposes, and I still remember it was 2 a.m. and they came, they installed, and they said, Madam, don't see, actually we've built a good rapport with a lot of people, and I cannot tell you, there were so many helping hands all through the pandemic. I think everybody was ready to help, and so this was one experience which I would like to share, that we have to be self-sufficient and dependent on Made in India. And the second thing was, if there was a breakdown, we really had a problem because people had a problem in transportation. This was the time when there was lockdown. So anyways, that was, we could tide over because we got the Kingfisher Flex and part automation and part manual extractions, and we could go. Regarding cost, I am a public institute. So we never faced the problem, and I am very proud to say that the Municipal Corporation of Greater Mumbai is the only organization in the public sector which supports PCR tests free of cost for its patients. Throughout the monsoon, we do acute febrile illness cases. We get in a day, that is pre-pandemic, we used to do about 70 to 100 PCRs per day. So for leptospira, dengue, chikungunya, and this is all free of cost. So we have a standing committee. We take a corporation standing committee and the corporation sanction, municipal corporation sanction for extending these services free of cost. I'm talking of costs of 2,500 rupees per test. So this has been happening from 2007 onwards. Then H1N1 also was extended free of cost to all the patients. In COVID, we were getting kits from ICMR because we are a public institute, and there was a cap for the private institutes also. And then the state government started giving from September 2020. So as of now, we have not faced any problem with the kits. Regarding NABL accreditation, I can tell you that the costs are covered through the HIV program because we are a regional HIV reference lab. We have an inbuilt cost from NACO, which we get for accreditation, which we utilize for including the other tests also. The only cost which we have is for calibration of our equipments. So all the pipettes and equipments, when we have to calibrate, we have an additional cost for that. So we have been able to manage this balance. Then we, of course, conduct a lot of training programs, and we generate some amount of revenue through these training programs. So if there are any breakdowns, we are able to immediately address it and don't wait for, the municipal corporation to sanction the amount. Does it answer your question, or any more clarification?
Thank you. Yes, because we wanted to hear your journey and amazing journey. So we have heard in different platforms and this thing. So, but we wanted to hear from your, from your mouth, actually, from horse's mouth, how this difficult journey. It's a very challenging journey, but it's like you told about divines and how everybody supported. And I think India, if we see bigger perspective, India benefited, and our part of West India is benefited from your tireless efforts to establish this.
I would also like to add that all through the lockdown, there was one NGO who supported transport for my technicians, because we were running the lab in 3 shifts. And so we had cars for them in the western suburbs. Those who know Mumbai, it's widespread. It's right from Dombivli in the central suburbs, and Virar from the western suburbs. So we had a morning pickup, and then we had drop off, and they would pick up the next batch. So there was one NGO which supported us in the month right from 24th March to end of May. They supported by paying for this transport, and I don't think we could have run the lab so smoothly if our people wouldn't have been able to come, because they were given accommodation near the place of work in hotels, but many people wanted to go back home, because obviously ladies have their own roles to play at home. Pandemic or no pandemic, nobody was spared of the household chores, because we didn't have maids at that time. I think the importance of maids was really felt during the lockdown. And so many people wanted to go back home. So we arranged transport, and there was this NGO who supported us. So I think we got a lot of support with reference to drinking water. So the Tatas, in fact, they supplied drinking water for all our employees. And I think we could manage because of all the support which we got.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, ma'am. That was wonderful hearing your journey, and then your ways of handling your kits reagents, as well as your technical team within your setup. So it'll be very good to hear from you. How did you do harmonization, or how would you want to tell people who want to set up RT-PCR labs on harmonization and validation protocols of these RT-PCR, which used to be very, very unreachable tests for in the past, but now with more than 3,000 labs, performing COVID test every day now, I think quite a few labs are now aware of, but there need to be a lot of clarity, and it'll be good to hear from you with so much of experience in varied types of testing protocols, and that you are also validating kits and reagents in your laboratory.
See, I'll tell you one thing, in quality, the one thing which we have learned is interlab comparison is not enough in RT-PCR, especially in RT-PCR, because people are using varied methods of extraction, varied amplification systems, different kits. In fact, I will share my experience that if I use 2 different extraction kits, my CT values are different in my own lab. And when we did our NABL, especially for dengue and lepto, we did an interlab comparison, but it was not comparable with another lab. So we then approached Andaman regional RMRC for a panel for Leptospira PCR. The way forward, I feel, for RT-PCR, now there are so many RT-PCR labs. how do you ensure quality? I will also share our experience with our own lab doing excellent work. But when we were doing ILC, so our ILC is done by NIV Pune. There were variations. I wouldn't say we got 100% in 4 rounds. We got 100% in 2 rounds and 94% in 2 rounds. That was the reason. You know, there are certain nuances in the test. But when they switched to a WHO panel, continuously we've been getting 100%. So I feel the way forward is not just ILC, because once, see, I'll tell you, once the ILC doesn't match, the next thing we do is in our own lab, we give it blinded to 2 technicians. So that is the way we troubleshoot. So when the blinding results, they match, then we know that there is something wrong with the other lab in terms of their processing. So when the processes are not standardized, equipments are not standardized, harmonizing across is possible only if you have labs, doing panel testing instead of ILC. That is one thing which we have flagged to ICMR also. See, another problem with ILC, I'll tell you, I am doing for 52 labs now. Many times the ILC is matching, but we get a lot of complaints from that particular lab that, so we don't know exactly what is happening with the lab beyond ILC. Are they doing the same procedure? Are they following the same SOPs? It is very hard to check all those things. I don't know how systems can be built in to ensure that every batch is run the same way, using the same SOPs, because many times the moment we know that there is a complaint from a lab and we start questioning, we do see that there have been some major errors. I don't know how to work around it and obviate it. I would look forward to guidance.
That's great to hear from you, ma'am. Actually, so I can give you a little bit of my experience on this harmonization of these tests as well, where with multiple extraction methodologies available and multiple PCR equipments also available, there is so much of exchange of of these testing methods. So they extract it from a closed system of PCR, TrueNAT, and then use it for your PCR as a routine open PCR as well. And they will use some automated PCR methods. Sometimes your the manual methods of extractions are done. So when you see there is so much of a difference, and when you assess these labs, you find that these variations are huge and never recognized unless when we want to see want to do a retesting to see reproducibility. Then they say, oh ma'am, last time we used that extractor, this time we did a manual, last time we used TrueNAT extracting methodology. So that's what they keep telling. So I think what you have shared is really so useful to a lot of people to hear. Can you just add?
Sorry, yeah. I would also like to add that when we do real-time PCR validation, it has to be the same platform.
Exactly.
TrueNAT, we are not, see, ICMR does not have a quality check for TrueNAT and CBNAT, because it is like comparing apples with oranges.
Exactly.
You have to compare the apples with apples and oranges with oranges. So today also ICMR does not have a quality control program for TrueNAT testing and CBNAT testing. It has only for RT-PCR. Considering, see, I'll tell you something. In the public sector, we also have one problem of L1. L1 is something which is murdering us. You know, sometimes Dr. Ingle will not agree. I'm sure he will agree with me, because we are from the same system. And we cry hoarse to tell our people that, you know what, I have worked with this, it doesn't work. So, but anyways, cost is always the concern when you buy in bulk. So when that is the situation, I am very well aware that I have not got the best. So I always keep comparing my results with the best possible kits. That is my way of doing my own quality check in-house. So I know that there is a difference of at least 5 CT values with the in-house kit and So the problem comes if the CT value is 35.
Exactly.
If it is 35, what do I report it as? I know there is already a difference of 5. I know that the CT value is 30, but I cannot say. So this creates little problems for us, but however, we have our own checks and balances.
Can you just give us some tips and hints on validation, ma'am? Validation of tests in the laboratory, your in-house validation that you do. Sometimes they use a quantitative assay test for qualitative, or they use an in-house test. So how do you standardize your validation process in simple words of understanding, ma'am? How many samples, how many tests do you do for validation?
So the ICMR has the ILC for 5 positives and 5 negatives. They first started it monthly, then they made it quarterly. Now they have made it 6 monthly because the load on the labs is very high. During the pandemic, we were doing monthly because we wanted to ensure that the quality was maintained. So 5 positives and 5 negatives, they have to upload their results. We upload our results and ICMR does the matching. So concordance is there. And if there is discordance in 2 samples, then they have to send 2 more samples to us till they get concordance in the 10 samples which they send. That is the way we've been following for COVID-19. However, for in-house, what we do is that known positives and known negatives, we run every day in order to know that, our systems are in place, our amplification system. So we have 2 shifts now. Previously, we had 3 shifts. Every shift we run 2 positives and 2 negatives. This is for the internal control. And for us, we are validated by NIV. They send us the WHO panel for COVID-19. And we have to upload our results. They upload their results and matching is done by ICMR. And then we get the results of concordance. Similarly, we do with HIV also. HIV viral load is a quantitative assay. So we get samples. We run the test through the Abbott system. And we upload our results, which is matched by NARI. And for early infant diagnosis, it is the dried blood spot. So it's a qualitative test. So this is the way we have been doing our QC programs.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.